Hey everyone, thanks for watching the Cardboard Dungeon. My name is Pat, and we are looking at the ARC-170 expansion for X-Wing. Now this is a Clone Wars era ship, a time period in Star Wars that X-Wing hasn't really gone back to. We've stayed in the Galactic Civil War era and beyond, delving into the Episode 7 ships and pilots, but not going as far back as the Clone Wars. So the story here is that the Rebellion got its hands on a small number of these ships and retrofitted them and gave them to some of their best pilots. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the ship. Very cool looking. It screams Rebel Alliance. Awesome paint job on this ship. It's also a very large ship, competing with the K-Wing for largest small-based ship in the game. And it brings to the Rebels their very first rear-facing auxiliary firing arc. And it's also the second small ship in the game with a rear-facing firing arc that we've looked at after the TIE SF, also part of Wave 9. So let's jump right into the ship, starting with the maneuver dial. Now, before I jump into this too much, I want to say real quick that this is another heavy fighter for the Rebellion. It joins the B-Wing, the Y-Wing, and the K-Wing as a ship with low agility, high health, and not the greatest selection of maneuvers. So keep that in mind. We're going to see where it does have some new things it brings to the Rebels, but as far as the type of ship, this is something that isn't straying too far from their typical heavy fighter archetype. So looking at the dial, we can see it's got a spread of 6 green maneuvers in the speed 1 and 2 banks and straights. It can only go as fast as speed 4, and if it wants to do that, it's a straight and it is red. Also, its 3 turns are red. Can't turn at speed 1, speed 2s it's got that are white, and then it's got a speed 4 K turn, and that's it. So not a huge amount of maneuvers available for this ship, but it's not terrible. Also, it's definitely not as bad as the K-Wing. So that's what you're working with if you're going to put one or more ARC-170s on the table. Now looking at the stat line for the ship, we see an attack value of 2, which is low for the Rebels, but we're going to see, like the TIE SF, it does have a way to bump that up pretty consistently. Agility of 1, 6 hull, and 3 shields, so 9 total hits required to take this ship off the table. Pretty beefy ship, which is not surprising for a Rebellion heavy fighter. Now on the action bar, focus and target lock, nothing real new or surprising there. Down on the upgrade bar, however, all of these ships can take a torpedo, a crew, and an astromech. So the combination of crew and astromech is something that we have not seen before in the game. This is new, so it opens up a whole new area of potential combos. It also means that you can run crew C-3PO and astromech R2-D2 together for the first time. And if you want to, this is a great ship for C-3PO with 1 agility. It means that you can use his ability to always guarantee yourself at least 1 evade result when you use it. And of course, R2-D2 being on board as the astromech lets you pull a green maneuver and get a shield back. So that combo, although it's very expensive, I believe it's 7 points total for the 2 of them, really can turn this into a very tanky ship, make it harder to hit, and it keeps regenerating shields, which, as anybody who plays against Rebels often knows, R2-D2 is a real pain. All right, let's jump into the pilots, starting with Nora Wexley. Pilot skill of 7, 29 points. She can take an elite upgrade. When attacking or defending, you may spend a target lock you have on the enemy ship to add 1 focus result to your roll. Okay, so that's interesting. It almost seems like you want to take push the limit with her, so you have target lock and focus. And then if you roll well and get a bunch of focus results, you can spend that target lock, add an additional focus result, and then spend your focus and turn them all into hits. This also works when she's defending, although with only 1 agility, you're probably not going to want to hold the target lock and then spend it, and then spend a focus to turn 1 or 2 focus results into evades. But we'll see. There's probably some combos with her that might make her a little make that a little more useful. But definitely on the offense, I think it's a great ability. And we're going to see how it can hit real hard when we get into the title and some other stuff for the ship. Also worth noting, Nora Wexley is the mother of Snap Wexley, who is coming out in the Heroes of the Resistance expansion, so you can do some mother and son squadron building if you want to. And she's not the only one. Next up, we have Shara Bey. Now, this is Poe Dameron's mom. So if you want to fly Poe along with his mom, you can do it. And pretty soon, Snap and Nora Wexley as well. Shara Bey has a pilot skill of 6, 28 points. When another friendly ship at range 1 to 2 is attacking, it may treat your blue target lock tokens as its own. So this is not surprising at all for the Rebels. Rebels with their benevolent abilities that benefit their squad mates. We've seen all kinds of stuff like this before. So she gets a target lock and somebody else can use it. Definitely good for setting up your ordnance attacks. If you have a friendly ship, a bomber, maybe a K-Wing loaded up, and it takes focus and doesn't have a target lock, well, it can use hers if it is going to potentially deal more damage to a target than she would. So she can set up her squad mates for heavy hitting attacks. Next up, we have Thane Kyrell, pilot skill of 4, 26 points. After an enemy ship inside your firing arc at ranges 1 to 3 attacks another friendly ship, you can perform a free action. This is a really cool ability. There's no limit on it, so anytime an enemy ship that you have in your arc, and because this ship has a front-facing and a rear-facing firing arc, and it does not say primary firing arc on this, that means that anywhere in either of those arcs, you get a free action. Now, of course, the ARC-170 doesn't have too many actions, so you get a focus action or a target lock action. However, you can put engine upgrade on there, so you might get a boost action out of it. And as we're going to see, we've got a upgrade coming up that grants a very common action in the game as well. So you'll have some options as far as actions. You might also have an upgrade card that has an action keyword on there. So there's a lot of different things that let you take actions or use the benefit of the upgrade card as an action. So depending on how you build him out, now he might be able to activate his ability several times in one round if you position him correctly. So very interesting. And then lastly, Braylon Stram. And you're going to notice here, no non-unique pilots for this ship. Now, like I said, the Rebellion got their hands on just a limited number of these, is the story that they're giving us as to why this Clone War era ship is finding its way into the Galactic Civil War. And I'm buying it. That's fine. I'm good with it. No non-unique pilots, though. So if you want to put these on the board, you got to have a unique pilot and pay the premium for that. Braylon Stram. Pilot skill of 3. 25 points. And it says, after you execute a maneuver, you may roll an attack die. On a hit or critical result, remove a stress token from your ship. So like we saw, there are some red maneuvers, 4 of them including the K-turn on the dial for this ship. So after performing one of those, or if you have stress for any other reason, you get a 50-50 shot at removing a stress token from your ship. That's pretty cool. It's kind of similar to what we saw on Jack Porkins in the Rebel Transport expansion, where he had an option or a possibility to remove a stress, but he might take damage doing it. This no chance to damage yourself. You just have a 4 out of 8 shot of removing stress. So very cool. All right, let's jump into the upgrades for this ship. First up, Adrenaline Rush. We've seen before, 1 point. When you reveal a red maneuver, you may discard this card to treat that maneuver as a white maneuver until the end of the activation phase. It's an elite upgrade. Pretty obvious why it's here. There are some red maneuvers on the dial, and this is good for any ship that's slow and unwieldy. If you really feel like you want to pull out a surprise and change a red maneuver, a K-turn, possibly into a white maneuver, still take your actions. Then we've got Recon Specialist, 3 points, a crew upgrade. When you perform a focus action, assign 1 additional focus token to your ship. All right, now we're getting into new stuff. We've got Tail Gunner. This is a limited crew upgrade. When attacking from your rear-facing auxiliary firing arc, reduce the defender's agility by 1 to a minimum of 0. This is very awesome. Great crew for this ship. Also excellent on the fire spray, which has, of course, a rear-facing auxiliary firing arc. I'm thinking particularly of Kath Scarlet, the Scum and Villainy version, where she rolls an additional die out of her rear-facing arc. So rolling 4 dice or 5 at range 1 and reducing the defender's agility by 1. Definitely a potent attack. So I could see putting Tail Gunner on her. And also, of course, it's an excellent crew for the ARC-170, which is why it's in this expansion. Next, we've got 2 copies of a brand new Astromech, R3 Astromech, 2 points. Once per round, when attacking with a primary weapon, you may cancel one of your focus results during the modify attack dice step to assign 1 evade token to your ship. So this has interesting synergy with Nora Wexley's ability. Remember that she could spend a target lock to add a focus result. And so if she does that, when she's making an attack, if you want to turtle up a little bit or give yourself a little more defensive options. Now, I'm not exactly sure why you'd be doing this instead of trying to maximize your damage, but maybe you don't think any damage is going to get through on your attack. You've only got 1 or 2 hits, and it's not worth spending your focus, or you didn't roll any hits and you rolled a focus. Well, this might be a handy way to convert that into an evade. And of course, like I said, if you pair that up with some of those defensive crew R2-D2 or Astromech R2-D2 C-3PO on there, you might really be able to negate a lot of damage and keep your ship alive a lot longer. All right, next up we've got a new Torpedo. Seismic Torpedo, 2 points. Cost an action. It says discard this card to choose an obstacle at range 1 to 2 and inside your primary firing arc. Each ship at range 1 of the obstacle rolls 1 attack die and suffers any damage or critical damage rolled, then remove the obstacle. So for the first time in X-Wing, we have a way to take obstacles off the board. This is pretty cool. It's not an attack also. It automatically happens. It does cost an action. You can remove an obstacle and potentially deal damage to every ship within range 1 of that obstacle. So very interesting. It's inexpensive. It is a torpedo, so it works with extra munitions. It'll be interesting to see if we see these showing up at all. Not guaranteed damage. And anytime you see something that's not a guaranteed damage, it's uncertain whether it's going to make its way into the competitive side of the game. But we'll see. All right, next we have a new modification. 2 copies of this one. Vectored Thrusters. Small ship only. 2 points. Your action bar gains the barrel roll action icon. All right, so that's very cool. Tons and tons of applications for this across the board, across all 3 factions. Barrel roll is a fantastic action to be able to take. Now you can put it on any small ship. So along with engine upgrade, we now have a way to give most ships in the game, not large ships, of course, but that would be bonkers. So you can't do that. But small ships, barrel roll action for 2 points. And finally, we've got the title for the ARC-170. It is 0 points, so it is an auto include anytime you run one of these ships. No reason not to take it. When attacking with a primary weapon from your primary firing arc, you may roll 1 additional attack die. So there's what I was talking about. Basically, the ship does have an attack value of 3 as long as you're firing forward. And then it goes on. When attacking from your auxiliary firing arc, you may change one of your focus results to a critical result. So again, here's more synergy with Nora Wexley, who gets to spend her target lock to add a focus result to her attack. Imagine firing out of the rear 2 dice with Tail Gunner, reducing agility on the defender by 1. Now you spend your target lock to add a focus result, and then you can just change that to a critical. You don't even have to spend focus to do it. So definitely powering up that rear firing arc and maximizing damage in different ways. Very cool. It's a great title for this ship. Again, I have to talk about how I feel like it's slightly unwieldy that we're getting these auto-include titles now as just a way to sort of change the way the game is set up, because obviously there's nothing in the game. They can't split your attack value. They can't do like 3/2 and you know, 3 forward and 2 out of the rear arc. On the ship template or ship cards, they have to redesign everything in order to do that. So they're just including titles as a way to just change the core rules of the game. It is an elegant solution, and it's what we have, and it works, and it's good because really you're not going to pay 25 to 30 something points base cost before upgrades for a ship like this with an attack value of 2. It's just probably wouldn't see any play. So this gives it a 3 attack value out the front and makes firing out of the auxiliary arc interesting and potentially deadly as well. All right, so there you have it. ARC-170 expansion. Brand new, big, heavy fighter. Easy to hit, but takes a lot of hits to destroy. Joining the B-Wing, the K-Wing, the Y-Wing on the Rebel Alliance front. Bringing a lot of interesting new things to the game. Great upgrade cards. Vector Thruster, I think, going to see a lot of play. Tail Gunner, of course, I think see a lot of play. Seismic Torpedoes are very interesting. So we'll see. We'll see what of this we see hitting the table in the big competitions coming up in the near future. But overall, I'm really impressed. This is probably the first Rebel ship that has impressed me a lot in a while. It looks like a Rebel ship. It's a fantastic model with a fantastic paint job. Brings cool, interesting things to the game. Looking forward to really digging in and seeing what these ships can do in squadrons for the Rebels. All right, everybody, as always, thanks for watching the Cardboard Dungeon, and I'll see you next time.